All right, everyone. The Democratic Party appears to have made a very, very, very big mistake. With David Hogg, of course, as vice chair of the DNC, he's now possibly going to be forced out because they're getting tired of him already. This was entirely forewarned against by, sane, rational individuals. The idea of getting David Hogg in as vice DNC chair appears to have been linked to youth outreach. So the idea is that younger voters, they were beginning to gravitate towards the Republican Party. So you wanted to have a figurehead there that was relatively young, kind of sort of an influencer, although really not really. And so you choose David Hogg. And the problem has become manifold in this particular case. First, David Hogg announces that they're going to be unleashing tens of millions of dollars to primary out Democrats that don't toe the line. So you're talking about trying to bump off incumbents that have that incumbent advantage while you go into the midterm. So that's calculated blunder number one. Number two, you've got a Native American individual that's actually seeking for a recount, so to speak, to try to get in as DNC vice chair at this particular moment. Because David Hogg clearly isn't really doing his job very well, which was entirely predictable. And so she's on the warpath now. Problem number three, though, is that he is a Parkland survivor, which means that if you criticize him from within the Democratic Party, he'll say, well, you hate kids that were in a school shooting or something like that, because he is entirely goddamn self-serving. His ego is bigger than his forehead. And as you know, he's a little bit dysgenic when it comes to that particular proclivity. David Hogg is a poor leader, and then Carlyle comes out. Carlyle himself comes out and says, well, he reminds me a little bit of Ulysses S. Grant. Because, Abe Lincoln said, well, he's a fighter and stuff. Um, that's wonderful. That's really a way to wage a campaign. David Hogg, more like than not, is probably going to destroy the Democratic Party for an entire generation. He is that poor at leadership, that poor at outreach, and that poor at focusing and messaging that he could literally crush his own political party. I mean, I don't really care. I would say to the Democrats, circle the wagons. Keep him in there. Make sure that he stays in his DNC vice chair because he's such an embarrassment to any independent voter like myself that it makes it impossible for us to support your political party. I would love a Democratic Party that reverted to like JFK mode or something like that. So an actual serious political party, but it's not right now. There is nothing serious going on. Your party leader effectively right now is Chuck Schumer. One of your other party leaders is David Hogg. And then Kamala Harris, of course, she's gone rogue. She's gone on the warpath as well in order to gobble up book sales, I think, more than anything else. And she's making an embarrassment out of the party as well. Nancy Pelosi, who at the very least sometimes is coherent, even though she can't stand up after she takes the knee for the black pride flag, she's basically absent at the moment and growing more incoherent by the day. You don't have any party leadership. David Hogg is one of the leaders of your fucking political party. What are you smoking? Whatever it is, I'm going to avoid it because I'd probably pass out in an alleyway in New Orleans or something like that. This makes absolutely no sense. He's talking about attacking your own political party from within during an election season that's probably going to be messy anyway, while trying to lurch the party further to the left, even though the American people quite clearly told you that's not what they want. What they want is a Democratic Party that's more, okay, it's union and workers, standard liberals and stuff like that. Maybe not the boring uniparty old school liberals, but at the very least, not the far left that's being proffered by people like David Hogg or AOC, Bernie Sanders, and some of the other chuckle fucks that are in the party. They're telling you that they're tired of this shit. Some of the partisans simply want to win the election. They just don't like Republicans. It's just partisan voting. Okay, well, you've got to appease them. Otherwise, you cannot win. It is physically impossible. So you got to appease them. You've got to appease center-left voters and centrist voters that believe that you've lurched already too far to the left. So what do? You take David Hogg, of all people, one of the most anti-gun, far-left individuals probably of that generation, and put him in there and say, well, because he's younger, this'll probably get us the Gen Z vote. I don't think that it's going to. If anything, I think it's going to end up alienating them because Gen Z considers him to be cringe. And rightfully so, because he is cringe. They are fundamentally correct. David Hogg is not particularly well spoken. He's not a charismatic. He's not even at this point, even as young as you would want some of those voters to be anyway. And his claim to fame is, hey, I was near a shooting at one point in my life and then I made a brand off of it. Can't you understand that because of his ego and his self-serving attitude, he's literally using your entire party as a piggy bank? No, they're oblivious to it. They don't understand at all. Yeah, let's primary off, 12 or 13 other individuals within the party because we left-wingers don't like them. Lurch the party further to the left. I encourage you to do this. Maybe eventually you'll learn your lesson. Lurch the party further to the left. Get destroyed in the midterms in a historical loss, and then hopefully eventually you'll put two and two together. Your neurons will begin firing, and you'll be able to do some soul searching. Because right now, the Democratic Party, and I say this again, as an independent voter, I am not a Republican and I am not particularly conservative. The Democratic Party has effectively lost its way and has wandered off into the woods. None of this makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. What Carlyle said makes no sense. What Hogg is doing and saying makes no sense. They're literally raising tens of millions of dollars to attack their own party at the moment. I've never seen anything quite like it before, actually, honestly. It's very, very strange. But the Democratic Party decided to put him in power. They decided to put him in that position. It's not an advisory role. He is the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Let that sink in real, real deep. They chose to do this. Now you've made your bed. You're going to have to lay it in. And it's just what you're going to have to do. I have a feeling it's going to end in disaster for you, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.